Respiration in plants. Respiration means the materials which is brought by the vascular bundles from the soil or from any other materials. It should be broken down into the organic form, and this process is known as the respiration. Finally, we should get ATPs, and this ATP provides energy to perform the functions. There are two types of aerobic. There are two types of respiration. One is aerobic and anaerobic respiration. Aerobic respiration means it takes place in the presence of oxygen. Anaerobic means it takes place in the absence of oxygen. And this complete way from where organic material breaking into the ATP takes place in 4 steps. One is glycolysis, Krebs cycle, etc. and oxidative phosphorylation. And in this aerobic respiration, but in anaerobic condition, only this glycolysis is the common step for both aerobic and anaerobic. But in anaerobic, this glycolysis takes place and produces 2 molecules of NADH2 and 2 ATPs. And these 2 molecules of NADH2 which is produced is again, see here, 2 molecules of NADH2 is produced from glucose converting into pyruvic acid. In this process, 2 molecules of NADH2 is produced. 2 molecules because 2 molecules of pyruvic acid we are getting. So 2 molecules of NADH2 is produced in this glycolysis, and 2 ATP is produced. And this 2 molecules of ATP is used for conversion of this pyruvic acid into the ethanol in bacteria. So the NADH2 which is got in the glycolysis now lost. So after completion of complete cycle in this bacteria where the glucose is converting into ethanol, we get only 2 molecules of ATP. In some other muscle cells, while we performing exercise, our muscles requires more oxygen. So in this step also, where pyruvic acid converting into the lactic acid in the muscle cells, etc. When we performing exercise like that, then this NADH2 which we are got in glycolysis lost, and finally we get only 2 ATP. Therefore, from anaerobic respiration we are getting only 2 molecules of ATP. But from aerobic respiration we are getting we should calculate how much we are getting more number of ATP, and that we should know. In glycolysis we have got 2 molecules of NADH2 and 2 molecules of ATP, and Krebs cycle we have got 3 molecules of NADH2 and 1 molecule of FADH2 and 1 GTP. This NADH2 and FADH2 is the indirect forms of ATP, so it should be converted into the ATPs. So that process takes place in ETC and oxidative phosphorylation. ETC means electron transport chain. In this process, NADH2 which is produced in the mitochondria is broken down into the a pair of proton, a pair of electrons, and NADH. And this using this pair of protons, in ETC this NADH2 is broken down and converted into the water, and the electrons are present. But how we should get ATP, not water, and how this using these protons, how ATP is produced will take place in oxidative phosphorylation step. In this video we are going to discuss about this oxidative phosphorylation. See, Krebs cycle takes place in the mitochondria, and this is the matrix of mitochondria. Therefore liquid material which is present, that is known as matrix of mitochondria, and next to mitochondria is present a membrane known as the mitochondrial membrane or inner mitochondrial membrane, and next to is present the intermembrane space, the space between inner membrane and outer membrane, that is intermembrane space. And Krebs cycle takes place in this matrix place, and here NADH2 is produced. This NADH2 breaks into the pair of proton, a pair of electron, and NADH2. This pair of electrons moves into the inner mitochondrial membrane. Here the electron acceptors are present. These electron acceptors accept this pair of electrons, and while pumping downwards it releases energy. Using this energy, a pair of proton which is produced in this, which are produced by this NADH2 while breaking, now pushed into the intermembrane space. See, similarly in this all electrons comes downward, and again this electrons enters into the matrix mitochondria, and after entering into mitochondria it combines with molecule of oxygen and a pair of proton, changes into the water. This takes place in the ETC, that means electron transport chain. Now in this video we are going to discuss about oxidative phosphorylation, and this water, and using this H2 H plus C, we should break down NADH2 and we should get ATP, not water molecule. How? By using this proton and this electrons, how we get ATP, and that step is the oxidative phosphorylation. See, this is the step of oxidative phosphorylation. Imagine this is the inner membrane of mitochondria. See, this is the inner mitochondrial membrane, from this we are getting electrons into the intermembrane space of mitochondria, therefore outer membrane, and this is the bulged part is known as the crista of mitochondria, and this is the inner membrane or inner towards the mitochondria. This complete space is known as mitochondria, and it is a liquid material known as the matrix. So therefore here this layer, and in this places the Krebs cycle actually takes place, and from here NADH2 is pumped into NADH2 breakdown into the two pair of electrons, a pair of proton and NADH plus. This pair of electrons enter into this inner membrane space, and while coming downwards it produces energy. Using this energy, these electrons which are pair of protons which are produced in this produced by NADH2 comes into this outer membrane or intermembrane space. Now these protons again comes through channels into the mitochondria, and these channels are known as one is F0 and one is F1. F0 and F1 are the channels. Through this channel, these protons which are present in the inner membrane space again comes into the mitochondria. While coming this, it passes through F0, and F0 is present in the intermembrane space, and next it enter into the F1, and this F1 is a channel. And here while coming through these channels, from this see the protons enters only through these channels, it won't enter from any place, so it comes through this channel F0. While coming, it brings some energy, it comes with some energy, and using this energy in F0, this energy using this energy FADP which is present in the mitochondria combines with biphosphates pi and changes into the ATP. In this place the F0 is acting as ATPase actually, because here using this the energy which is bringing from it pair of proton, see this proton enters into the should enter into the matrix. While entering into the matrix of mitochondria, it brings energy. Using this energy, the ADP combines with inorganic phosphates and changes into the ATP. Now see this NADH2 where in from produced from Krebs cycle enters into the inner space, and while entering breakdowns and produces two pair of electron and pair of proton. This pair of electron enter into the inner mitochondrial membrane, and using these electrons while pushing downwards electron acceptors, it releases energy, and using this energy a pair of proton is pumped outside. See now this pair of proton should enter into the this matrix, while this and this pair of proton enters through only these channels which is F0 and F1. While entering in the F0 F1 place, it comes with energy. Using this energy, this ADP combines with inorganic phosphate and changes into the ATP. Indirectly, see our aim is to produce ATP, so indirectly this NADH2 is broken down and protons are released, electrons are released, and using this electrons and protons this ATP is produced. Finally the ADP is broken down into the ATP. One NADH2 molecule brings one pair of proton and one pair of electrons. See one NADH2 releases at the at the three places it releases protons in complex 1, complex 2 and complex 3, and these three protons which are released from one NADH2 enter into this chain which is F0 and F1 chain and use with energy, and using this energy ADP combines with phosphoric acid inorganic phosphates and produces ATP. See therefore one proton gives one ATP. While transforming one proton using the energy of one proton which is brought using the energy which is brought by one proton, this ADP combines with inorganic phosphate and ATP is produced. Therefore from one NADH2 it brings one NADH2 brings three protons towards the inner matrix, and these three protons should enter into matrix. So indirectly one NADH2 gives rise to three molecules of ATP. In next video we will discuss how many ATPs we have got after all aerobic cycles, and individually in each cycle how many ATPs and NADPs we have got.